By the end of Scarpetta episode 1 on Amazon Prime, it still feels like none of the characters are actually in the same story. Things have not started to come together yet. And whether that's intentional or not, we can't yet tell, but something is not quite right. And I'm thinking it's not the writing or the story, it's how it's being told. So, full spoilers ahead. If you don't want spoilers, this is not for you. Catch something else. But we're diving in directly here. So let's start with the glaring issues that are here and baked into this formula, really. We have current day modern time Nicole Kidman, K. Scarpetta. We'll come back to the Scarpetta aspect of this, yeah. And we actually are bouncing back to 30 years ago, roughly. We get it. Okay, the same things are happening, right? What's happening now seems to have happened then, and now it's happening again. Oh my gosh. But my issue with this is that it is trying to help establish us. I get it, that we're going to be in two periods and things are way too simple. But so many things are just hitting us over the head. Now, Nicole Kidman gets up and she makes coffee and she has a cigarette and she drives to work over a bridge. I now have to go back into the flashback and see the very well cast younger actress who's very, very similar to Nicole Kidman, looks like her, sounds enough like her, has the characterization married up with her. I'm digging and here for all of it. Very good casting. Don't know the actor? Really good. But we then need to watch her also have coffee, have a cigarette, drive over the same bridge. So again, I get it. She's doing exactly the same thing, and the question can only possibly be, oh, has nothing changed for her? We know she recently came back, but is she the same person who does everything exactly the same? Has there been no evolution for this woman in 30 years? That's what it feels like to me. I get it. But that's not even the major biggest sin here. The biggest sin is the repetition of lines. From start to finish in this episode, we are repeating the same lines verbatim almost over. Now 30 years ago, now 30 years ago. We get it. You could totally have helped us with depth of character, story exposition, better plotting, by using that precious, precious airtime not to repeat lines. The writing, I don't know what's happening here, but give us something fresh because we got it. So let's stick with this for a second. You're on a channel for British mysteries. You are here because you're accustomed, probably, like me, to watching more British mysteries and other foreign ones. But nevertheless, I'm a proud American, and for the purposes of this show, I'm a proud Italian American, like Scarpetta, and I grew up with American crime shows and mysteries, right? I grew up with Law & Order and a lot of the forensic shows. I did. I do forget how heavy-handed they are, hitting us over the head to make sure a point is crystal clear. Now, long story short, I understand that all these studies prove that people are half paying attention and half on their phones. A lot of repetition has to happen. It's like a Dan Brown novel, though. It's just too much. I got 8 episodes. I got 2 periods of time. Cut to the chase. We got it. Now, along these lines as well, I forget how much American TV shows also telegraph to you how you're meant to feel instead of allowing the acting and also directing to simply allow you to feel something. The editing and effects are there to tell you how to feel. So the music is so much heavier handed. The sound effects, right? She's taking pictures at the crime scene and we have that screeching, eerie, creepy, sound of the flash. But this is now. A modern camera is not doing that. Nikki Alexander at a crime scene is using a different set of better technology, apparently, where we're not getting that, where maybe that might have been the technology 30 years ago. I don't know. I also don't care. Really, I'm just like, the killer thing for me was we got that happening, and then it even started to make the noise when she wasn't taking a picture. And I'm like, oh, heavy-handed. So, a lot of things are just so much more heavy-handed in these American shows, and I'm not missing it. We're all not missing it. If you came for Nicole Kidman, or maybe like me even more, you came for Jamie Lee Curtis, you're getting a huge amount of heavy-handedness from start to finish in this episode 1. We'll see if this lightens now that so much has been established. Now, let's talk about the relationships briefly, just because they're kicking off. Nicole Kidman, to me here, so chilly, so distant. If anything, the challenging thing with a character like this, and I think maybe I saw somewhere, it's taken 30 years for this to come into life. I get why, right? This is a distant scientific character who seems to be a total workaholic. When we come back into like the tropes of mysteries, right? There's certain characterizations that we're used to, right? The neurotic, the workaholic, the this, the that. But even if we think back to someone who we love, like Vera Stanhope, right? That woman too appears to be very much a workaholic, but there's so many levels of depth below that. In this American version, it kind of reminds me when you see online people being like, Europeans don't understand how Americans exist. Like, Americans seem to live to work. It's so flat. It's so one note. But this character kind of is distant and workaholic and gives us one note, right? We know she has a rich life and a family life. We know from the flashback she's been caring for her niece for all this time. We got it, right? We got it. And she's still caring for the niece. We got it. Oh, how creepy it is as well that the niece lives in that little like quiet house on her own. You just feel like that's a horror movie trope in the making. They live in the middle of nowhere. There's so many tropes. But in terms of her as the Vera Stanhope for these times, now that our blessed Brenda Blethyn has retired from Vera, this is so one note by comparison, but she's very distant and she's quite chilly. The younger actor and Nicole Kidman, they're perfectly good, but the character's flat. So, who else do we got? We got Jamie Lee Curtis. We got the fun of the show. Here's my issue. I don't buy them as siblings at all. Not one iota. Now, at the cemetery, it sounded like possibly the only dialogue I was given, which was so much exposition being vomited out so quickly, it was so over the top, and poorly, I'm going to say this is poorly directed and possibly written. There was so much throughout this whole episode of talking over each other. I went back to use subtitles to not miss somewhat vital information. But this type of verisimilitude, right? I'm pissed off watching a show when people are soft talkers and I'm like, I've missed what they've said, or they have a heavy accent and I don't understand it. But that was important. And a lot of that's happening here because the two of them talk over each other. Now, this is not unfamiliar to other Italian Americans. This is our wheelhouse and our reality, but it's hard to watch. So just like people whispering on stage in a live theater where you can't hear them in the back row, it's a fail. Now, Jamie Lee Curtis is completely over the top. She's over the top. I have a feeling that's why she wanted the part. I have a feeling that's why she took the part. I believe maybe she and Nicole Kidman are quite friendly in real life, but they have so little chemistry as siblings. Even as, right, if they're good friends, that doesn't translate to anything we're seeing on screen, but they're not familiar as siblings. So what I perhaps started to say was maybe they only share a father in that vomiting of exposition, but maybe they're only half siblings. They're Scarpetta siblings. I don't know, but there's no similarity at all. There's so many weird moments, right? So when they have that blowout fight in episode 1, right? I feel like, again, they both signed on based on that scene being like, we're going to go there, right? It just came so out of the blue, just because she's such an over-the-top character. But at some point, she speaks Italian. And I understand enough Italian. I'm not a fluent Italian speaker. But she says this line in Italian, but she doesn't even say it in decent Italian. She says it in an Italian, almost like, did she learn this phonetically? It doesn't flow. And it certainly doesn't flow in a heated moment where everything's flowing so much faster with adrenaline and cortisol, right? So all of this weird stuff is flying around, but I can't quite make it land, and it still doesn't feel right. So, Jamie Lee Curtis, she's over the top. She's a hot mess of a mom. I got it. Yet again, I got it. She also, though, on another hand, back in my wheelhouse, she feels more like a Real Housewife of New Jersey, right? She's over the top. She's bling. She sparkles. She's shiny earrings. I literally have these people in my family. Sometimes that's my mom, but I have many of these other people in my family. Suffice to say, that's not the problem. That's not over the top. She's fun, but this character's a hot mess. But she's speaking Italian. It's not quite believable, right? She's clearly nothing like her sister. We're telegraphed that so clearly, so over the head. But the niece needs her. So, okay, we got it. She's married to Bobby Cannavale. We'll come back to him in a second. Let's stick with Lucy, the niece. So Lucy apparently was being taken care of by Kay Scarpetta. We got it. Lucy also appears to have been some child prodigy where she made enough money at age 13 to never work again. We also don't know how her mother has money, but she made a point very early on of saying that Scarpetta perhaps is envious because she has money. TBA, I guess, that's okay. A seed I'm still here for, that's fine. But this woman is clearly fragile. I'm not going to say damaged because she's also grieving the loss of her wife. So there's that natural kind of grief and peril, but she's not like damaged by that. She's clearly damaged by her mother. We get it. But the odd inclusion of the AI wife, right? So I don't know if people do this. In my current reality, in the current time period, that's not a reality. Does she just have so much money that she can afford this technology to have present conversations with a past avatar? I have no idea. I also don't know that this brings anything to this story because I have so much complexity with the time jumping and introducing characters. Oh my God, it's too much. So I'm being served so much repetitious content. I'm being served so much over the head content. I'm being served so much content where I can't even understand it because there's so much talking over each other. I am just feeling like things are not coming together, and I really expect them to, let's just say, in the next episodes. So let's talk about our other special mentions. We got Bobby Cannavale. Bobby Cannavale, again, Italian-American, familiar to me. Also, I'm not from New York. We have the added element. He's New York. He's direct. He's straight talking. He's still really warm, right? He's a good counterpoint for Nicole Kidman because it's still quite chilly and still very distant scientific. But he's her partner back then, and she's now made him her partner because he has nothing to do as a kept man because now he's married to the mother. What? This is all so bizarre. We'll see if we get some of that backstory. But suffice to say, if we go back to the flashback, the young Cannavale actor, well cast, maybe seems a touch small, is almost like he didn't grow into full Cannavale size. This seems odd to me and a slight casting mismatch, but a very good actor, enjoying his scenes thoroughly so far. We also get Simon Baker. Now, I've never watched any shows that feature Simon Baker. He's always seemed a touch, again, for me, distant or chilly. I have never warmed to him or connected to his eyes somehow. The younger version of him, even more odd to me. Again, probably okay casting, but odd casting. I don't know this actor. It was interesting to see how they played together, the young Kay Scarpetta and the young FBI guy who somehow works with the detective. Either way, he was an odd choice. But you see their intellectual magnetism for each other, right? The show's delivering some basics in a decent way, but all of these other things, hot mess. So what do we know ultimately as we round this out in anticipation of episode 2? We got a serial killer. We got a copycat killer, or we have the original killer. We just can't tell yet. Either way, we got the niece in a house outside of a property where Scarpetta lives, apparently in the middle of nowhere. It also looks like some old plantation style house. So that always leaves us an odd sniff in the air when we know it's Virginia and we're officially back in the South. Also, I feel like that was a horror movie waiting to happen, where we see the weird shadow light, like the bright light that's lighting up what is obviously a pitch black area, and the niece lives alone there. The mother's not happy about the niece. The mother has bad ways of dealing with everything. We got it. We got it. We got it. But my God, should the daughter be alone in that place as a young woman, also sidelined by grief? We've raised a lot of issues. We've raised, for me, a lot of problems. So let's see if we start to redeem ourselves in episode 2, let alone beyond, because this storyline is complex. And I want to enjoy the storyline besides being hit over the head with these extreme characterizations where they don't even seem to be having the same story coming together. So let's see how it goes. What did you think? Did you find episode 1 easygoing? You loved it all? Were you here for all of it? Are you a British Mystery fan? And what did you really think of that? And if you're not a British Mystery fan, but you've just landed here because Scarpetta is something you love and you still watch all the NCISs and CSIs, what do you think of what I'm saying? Because I know my perspective at this point is coming in from a slightly different angle. I would love to know what you think, because what I'm used to watching is not quite so heavy-handed. Let me know.